In a few weeks' time, the San Diego Comic-Con 2025 exclusives from Funko are set to release. And it has a lot of people on the fence considering many people are considering this the worst set of Comic-Con exclusives Funko have ever done. However, for last year's San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, people said the exact same thing. So it had me really thinking the last few days on which convention was better between last year and this year's San Diego Comic-Con exclusives? So I'm DK Wrestler, and today I'm going to be doing just that. I'm going to be determining which is better between San Diego Comic-Con 2024 and this year in 2025 for the Funko exclusives. I'm going to be dividing everything into 9 different categories to really determine which year is better. And if you end up enjoying this type of content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, but nonetheless, let's kick this video off. And we're going to kick this off with the first category being ad icons and retro toys. Starting off with 2024, we have ourselves the Diggum Frog from Honey Smacks, which I do remember last year vividly saying that this was the worst exclusive throughout that entire convention, because we've already had a Diggum Frog pop that was perfectly fine, but Funko wanted to continue that trend of doing a cereal mascot holding a bowl of cereal and a spoon, which I feel if you didn't have a Diggum Frog pop already, cool, you can get this one, but if you already have the original one, you don't need this lazy variant. And then for 2025, this is where Retro Toys comes in with Pingu, and then we have the 2,000 piece Facet Rocker Barbie, which you're probably scratching your head thinking, why would Pingu be in Retro Toys? And that is because if you look at the bottom of the glam shot, it does say 2025 Mattel for the copyrights, which of course, Mattel being a toy company means that this will be a part of the Retro Toys lineup, just like we saw with the Barney set. And I'm sure that a lot of people don't like that Facet Barbie, so that means it really comes down to Pingu, one of the best pops of this convention, and then Diggum Frog, the worst pop of last year. So by process of elimination, 2025 gets the point so far. Pingu literally is the best pop of the 3 that we're talking about in this category. Moving on to the second category being animation and television. The reason I mash both of these together is when it comes to the animated television shows, a lot of times we've been seeing the move from the animation lineup to the television lineup, and it has a lot of people confused, so I mash both of these together. So for 2024, we have ourselves Marvin the Martian from Looney Tunes, Snoopy with Beagle Scouts, Vaporizing 001 from Stranger Things, the Wednesday and Enid moments from Wednesday, Papa Smurf from the Smurfs, Elmo with Rocco from Sesame Street, and the 6-inch Voltron. Which, although these are some pretty decent pops for the most part, these are of characters that we've seen quite a few pops from before, but there are some exceptions to why there are some cool pops in this set. First one being Elmo with Rocco, because this was the first time we saw an Elmo pop be made since the OG set in 2016. So almost 10 years. And then also the Marvin the Martian, because this was the first Marvin the Martian 4-inch pop for specifically Looney Tunes. The only way you can get Marvin the Martian previously was either Space Jam, Duck Dodgers, or some sort of subcategory for the Looney Tunes set. Then for 2025, we have ourselves the Cleaning SpongeBob from SpongeBob SquarePants, Sam Manson from Danny Phantom, the Glitter Huckleberry Hound along with the limited piece color variants, and then Jorgen von Strangle and Tooth Fairy 2-pack from Fairly Odd Parents. And for the most part, this is a pretty decent set, especially having new characters like Jorgen von Strangle and Tooth Fairy, which many people think are the best pops of the 2025 selection. And although it is a little bit lazy to see Huckleberry Hound and a bunch of variants, there are very limited variants of those colored Huckleberry Hounds ranging from 2,000 pieces all the way to 100 pieces that we haven't seen since literally the early 2010 days of San Diego Comic-Con. So for my voting, I am actually going to once again give the edge to 2025, mainly because not only are there new characters like Sam Manson and the Fairly Odd Parents 2-pack, but the very limited piece items for 2025 giving it more of an edge. Now category number 3, which is just straight up anime. So for 2024, we have ourselves Satoru Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen, Ascended Sugar from One Piece, Garo from Naruto Shippuden, Shinobu from Demon Slayer, and Elemental Hero Flame Wingman from Yu-Gi-Oh! I really like the variety in 2024 set of anime pops, including the fact we had a really awesome Yu-Gi-Oh! Pop with an Elemental Hero, and still to this day, in my opinion, is the best Elemental Hero pop that Funko has done. Plus, it was the first time in a long time we had a scented pop with the Sugar from One Piece, and then for 2025, we have the pop rides of the Nico Robin with Mini Marrieds from One Piece. For Naruto Shippuden, we had a 4-inch Naruto himself, and and then a Sasuke moments, and then for Demon Slayer, we had a Tengen with his wives moments. I do think for the most part, the highlight would be the rides from One Piece, because we are seeing that trend happen for Comic-Con this year, especially with WonderCon having another rides be made for One Piece. But for the anime category, I am going to be giving 2024 the edge for this one. Not only am I a little biased because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a set that I collect pops for, but I like the variety of how all 5 of the pops in this set were from different animes. Category number 4 is Biddy Pops. For 2024, we had the black and white TMNT Biddy Pops along with the Funkoville Biddy Pops. While for 2025, we had the Fantastic Four Biddy Pops, the Fun Force Biddy Pops, along with the Biddy City with Mayor Freddy and the Firefighter Franny. Now, if you know this channel very well, you know that I'm not too fond about Biddy Pops overall, but I do think between both of these years, there are some pretty cool sets, like the Fun Force set where there are technically 2 characters that have never been transformed into normal 4-inch pops before, like the Fun Force Franny and Fun Force Protos. But the thing that I feel that Funko is missing with the Biddy Pops nowadays are not including a chase figure like we have with the 4,000 piece TMNT Biddy Pops, which I think was the whole point of why people liked Biddy Pops in the first place, is not only saving space in your collection, but that little chase figure and not knowing if you're gonna have a really rare one or not. So I'm actually going to be giving the edge to 2024, giving it a tie at the moment. The next category is Disney, which for 2024, we had the Beach Day Zero along with the glow-in-the-dark variant from Nightmare Before Christmas, a Bandage Baymax with a glitter variant from Big Hero 6, a Protozoa from Xenon, and then Edna Mode from The Incredibles. Although there are some limited pieces for these items, all they really are for the most part are just specific specification variants. And then for 2025 selection, we have ourselves the translucent Bing Bong from Inside Out, and then we have a surfboard Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Now, although the selection is smaller for Disney in 2025 than it is for 2024, that doesn't mean that that's actually a bad thing. There's going to be a saying I'm going to say a lot throughout this video being less is more. And that's why for this category, I'm going to say that 2025 is going to break the tie at the moment. We've only seen, I believe, 1 or 2 variants of Bing Bong, and it's been a while since we've had a Bing Bong pop. With 2024, the majority of the pops are just specification variants, like I mentioned, of the pops that are already in the selection, and they're not entirely the greatest anyways. The next category is games, which for 2024, we have ourselves the 10-inch Arceus from Pokemon, along with the glow-in-the-dark Lord Soth from Dungeons & Dragons. Now, 2024 was the year where we started getting the 10-inch pops of Pokemon that had not had pops previously, which I like that aspect, especially the fact that the 10-inch variants are the only way you can get these specific Pokemon and why they've actually been selling out for Funko. And then with the Lord Soth, that is a really cool pop, and normally the D&D pops are cool, but this was kind of the start of where I feel the D&D lineup have been a little bit lackluster for Comic-Con exclusives. Then for 2025, we have the Buccaneer Shadow from Sonic the Hedgehog, along with the 10-inch Entei from Pokemon. The Buccaneer Shadow is an okay pop. It goes along with that Treasure Hunter Knuckles as a part of the common wave, and then the Entei is a really big highlight for San Diego Comic-Con. Now, there are 2 pops apiece for each of these categories, so I feel like it might have to come down to the Pokemon pops, so I'm actually going to give the edge to 2025 in this case, meaning that I like the Entei pop more than the Arceus. Today, I wanted to give a shout out to Sentinel 107, and the reason that they ended up getting a shout out is because they joined our YouTube channel membership, which only cost $1.99 a month. Not only do you get the shout out, but you do get lots of other perks, including early access to every single video and shorts that we produce on this channel. So definitely consider joining our YouTube channel membership. It will be greatly appreciated and will go a long way of helping out this channel a lot. So definitely consider it, but let's get right back to the video. The next category is Marvel and DC, which for 2024, we have ourselves the Batman and Superman fusion, along with pops of Mr. Sinister from X-Men and Spider-Boy from, of course, Spider-Man. And for the most part, even though that sometimes Marvel and DC have lackluster pops for Comic-Cons, they actually have a pretty decent selection for only being 3 pops compared to the ungodly amount that is for 2025. So for 2025, we have ourselves Herbie for the upcoming Fantastic Four movie, along with a sensational Spider-Man. Then for X-Men, we have Gambit, Slot, and a Diamond Collection Dazzler, a Kingdom Come Batman, Azrael Batman, Blueprint Batman and Robin, and then the Funko Force Batman, Robin, and Penguin pops. Now, although there is a huge selection of pops here compared to 2024, once again, I think I'm going to give the same case as I mentioned with Disney, is that sometimes less is more. And that's why I'm actually going to be giving 2024 the point for the Marvel and DC category. I think for how many 2025 had, we didn't need 3 pops for X-Men, and we didn't need 3 pops for Batman itself. You could have really spread out with different Marvel or DC licenses. Next up, we have ourselves the movies category, which for 2024, we have ourselves Godzilla, Harry Potter with Patronus Spell, and then the Wicked Witch with Winged Monkey from The Wizard of Oz. Now, this is a pretty decent selection of pops. Maybe the one that's kind of a process of elimination first is the Harry Potter, because we've seen so many Harry Potters, while with the Godzilla, this was probably the best Godzilla that Funko has made in the last couple of years, along with that Anime Expo exclusive that recently got released, along with the Wicked Witch pop, where you do have a Pop and Buddy, and if you're not planning on getting the entire set of Wizard of Oz, you could buy just this pop instead of getting this pop along with the separate pops that you could get in the common wave. And then for 2025, there was only 1 pop for the movies, being the Tank Girl Pop Rides. And I really do like this, not only because of the detail involved, but the obscurity of it and how it definitely makes sense to be a Comic-Con exclusive. And normally I would like to apply the rule of less is more in this case, but there was some solid pops for 2024, not gonna lie, which I'm going to give the edge to 2024 here. Because even though there are more pops in 2024 than there is the one in 2025, there are solid pops between at least Wicked Witch and the Godzilla, which, as you see on the tally, we are currently tied 4-4 apiece, leading into the final category of this video to really determine which set is better. So for that final category, it is the miscellaneous category. So pops that couldn't fit in any of the 8 categories that I had made previously, which off the top of my head, I think Rocks wasn't involved. So starting off with 2024, we have ourselves Star Wars pops of Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn, which had a limited piece Diamond Collection pop, Kermit the Frog from the Muppets, and then the Funko made characters of the Roller Drive-In Franny, Pizzeria Proto, and the Mayor Freddy that were limited pieces. Now, the Star Wars pops are a little meh, because of course we've seen so many Darth Vader pops in the past, and then the Grand Admiral Thrawn, especially with its Diamond Collection variant, was a little bit pointless. The highlight of 2024 are the Proto, the Franny, and the Mayor pops, all solid pops, especially that Pizzeria Proto that I feel is so underrated. And then for 2025, we have the metallic variants of My Melody and Kuromi. These are just color variants of already existing molds from the previous waves of the Hello Kitty and Friends lineup. So I honestly think by process of elimination, 2024 is the better year. Let me know if you agree or disagree, but thanks for watching. See you guys later.